She did get away with it. She killed the other three and framed Kelly, made it look like Kelly did it, and got away with the whole thing. She did get away with it. She killed the other three and framed Kelly, made it look like Kelly did it. She did get away with it. She killed the other three and framed Kelly. Okay, apparently I was making a mess of things there. I want to thank Robert Poole at Indie Horror TV for having me on for showing Evil Intent. And a short while back, he had me on as well after the screening of Midget Zombie Takeover. And I had a great time doing it last time, and I'm sure we'll have a great time tonight. A little bit about Evil Intent. We actually shot it a few years ago, and the shoot went really well. We shot it over a course of a couple weekends and had a very talented cast and crew. I was fortunate enough to work with Giovanna Leah playing the lead there, along with Libby Baker and Andrea Rabel playing Trisha and Jason W. Griffith. And the shoot went really well, and I was very happy with it. And the film didn't do a whole lot at first. We didn't get into any theaters right away, and didn't really get out there a whole lot. We had a distributor, had the rights to it for a while. They ended up going bankrupt, and hopefully it wasn't totally our fault. But we did get picked up by Goliath Promotions, and Maureen Cooper there has really been pushing the film. A lot of good things have been happening with it. First off, we finally got into some theaters. About 4 years after we shot it, we finally started getting into some theaters and showed at the Cinema Center in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And they've been very good to us, showing a number of our films. And we also have a deal worked out with a chain of theaters in New England. They have 64 theaters, and they're going to give the film a test run in one of their theaters. They said probably the one in Portland, Maine, that they run. And if it does well there, they will bring it into more of their theaters. So we're hoping when that screening occurs, we'll spread the word for it, that we get a bunch of people out, and maybe we'll get a nice theatrical run for the film. In the meantime, Maureen at Goliath Promotions has been doing a great job. She's actually placed the film with Launch TV, and Launch TV is a new network that is starting up on September 1st. And Launch, I want to make sure I get the names right, Launch started by, among others, David Wenzel, who worked with Brad Pitt for over a decade, and was actually Brad Pitt's double quite often in some of his films. And it's also Russ Markowitz, a long time, 2 decades worth of work with NBC. They're two of the founders of Launch TV, and it's scheduled to air on September 7th on a number of Launch affiliates, including the affiliates in Miami, which is Channel 16, Ion South Florida, Wichita, Kansas, KGPT, Channel 26, the Lufkin, Texas affiliate, KLNM, Channel 42, and also the affiliate WXFL Channel 10 in Florence/Decatur, Alabama. So keep an eye out for it there if you're in one of those cities. And we've also, I just found out, Maureen landed a deal for the film with Jamaican Cable, with the Central Clarendon Cable system in Jamaica, which reaches over 300,000 households. So pretty excited about that. The film is getting out there. And it's also going to be on Roku in the coming months. So if you have a Roku set up, go ahead and look for it there. What inspired me to make it is the question, be it a movie, a book, etc. Well, I had the idea for the film quite a while back. I had tossed around, I just had this general premise, of a really bizarre love triangle. And I tossed some ideas around for about 3 days. I remember I got the idea on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I, tossed ideas around, jotted down some notes, and I started working on it Friday afternoon. And I worked through the weekend. I had the script, the first draft of the script finished on Monday morning. And I just thought it would be a fun twist on, love triangle, a little bit of insanity worked in there. And I ended up, obviously doing multiple rewrites, but the script itself was written in the one weekend. And I was very happy with how it turned out in general. And I don't really remember the initial genesis for the idea. Just I don't know, I was out walking one day and this idea came to me for a film. And part of the thing is as a filmmaker making small budget independent films, I'm always trying to come up with ideas for films that can be made with a small cast, small crew, and with a limited number of locations. All of Evil Intent was shot basically in one house in Boulder, Colorado, with the exception of the scenes that I was in, playing the psychiatrist with Giovanna Leah, and those were shot in my apartment, the apartment I was living in at the time, a little studio apartment. So we only had two locations, kept the shoot simple, that the cast was only 5 people, and yeah, the shoot went really well. We shot over the course of 2 weekends basically, and then did some pickup shots later. Any funny stories from the making of the film? I don't remember a whole lot that was funny. We were shooting on a pretty tight schedule. We worked very quickly, so not a whole lot of time for hijinks. One of the interesting stories came after we shot the film. Uh, and I had a guy editing the film, and he was working on a whole bunch of projects at once. And I kind of got the impression that his heart wasn't really into it. And finally, after quite a bit of time had gone by, he had finished up the edit. And I looked at the film, I was like, wow, I thought we had better footage there. And as he was going through his edit, I was getting him notes, and he wasn't able to incorporate some of them. I thought, gosh, did some of those takes not turn out well? Because I thought we had certain shots that weren't in the finished product. And so, I got the finished product from him, and I sat down and I watched the film with my girlfriend, Diane Henry, and we were watching it, and I was just like, wow, this just did not turn out very good. I'm very disappointed. I thought we had shot something better, because to the naked eye, as we were shooting the film, it looked really good, and we were getting such great performances, from Libby Baker, Giovanna Leah, Andrea Rabel, Jason W. Griffith. They were all so good in the film. And so I'm watching with Diane, and the film ends, and I'm like, wow, that just wasn't that good. And Diane looked at me, and she said, well, she said, I like the writing. The acting was fantastic, but you need to have that re-edited. And I said, really? And she said, yeah. She said, I think if you got that re-edited, that'd be a really good film. So I got in touch with Brian Cabrera, who I'd worked with a little bit on another project, and I got Brian to do a re-edit of the film, and it was almost a completely different film with his re-edit. And I was just absolutely thrilled with it, and it'd be a good lesson for those of you out there who might be filmmakers, that, yeah, the editor is an exceedingly important part of the puzzle. I don't do any editing. I prefer to spend my time writing scripts, directing, trying to come up with the newest ideas, because editing is a very time-consuming duty. And but Brian just did a fantastic job with the footage. I couldn't have been more pleased. So I'm forever thankful to Brian, because I thought, after I saw that first edit, I'll just file this one away. But after the second edit, absolutely thrilled with it. Little girl and girl hotness wasn't a bad thing. Am I right or am I right? Yeah, you get a few beautiful women together and having them kiss and all, and that was one of the things I was going for with the script, a little titillation there, and I never wanted to quite cross the line, though. Was there anything really romantically going on between any of the characters, especially between Kelly and Trisha as the film goes on? Have they become lovers? And I wanted to keep that a little bit nebulous, leave that up to the viewer to determine whether they thought they were having something going on between them. And of course, there were some the held kiss during the Blood Brothers ceremony or Blood Sisters ceremony. And yeah, I just wanted to titillate a little bit without getting too graphic. And yeah, the ladies really pulled it off. It is engaging, those scenes. The girl who has everyone, the girl who kills everyone was really good. What made you pick her? Giovanna Leah. She's been in a number of films I've done, sometimes in a starring role, sometimes in a smaller supporting role. We actually did a short film called Love, Sex, Hate, where she played the lead, along with Jason W. Griffith, who played Paul in Evil Intent. And the film ended up really good, but it ended up 59 minutes, which isn't a very marketable film. So it's actually available online. If you go to YouTube and put in my name, Glenn Berggoetz, and Love, Sex, Hate, you can watch the entire film online. And Giovanna did a great job in that film. And She also has done a small role in our film, The Worst Movie Ever, which is a goofy comedy. She has a small role in there, and she's done some other work with me. Our film Therapist, which Goliath Promotions also has the rights to. She plays one of the main characters in Therapist. So yeah, it's been a pleasure to work with Giovanna over the years. She is a very talented actress, and that's the thing too. Libby Baker, who played Kelly in Evil Intent, Libby has since moved out to L.A. She's appeared on Up All Night, the sitcom. With Will Arnett and Christina Applegate. She's also been on Modern Family, the Emmy Award winning show. So she's making a bit of a name for herself out in Hollywood. Andrea Raybould, she was in one of my short films early on, which another one you can see on YouTube, Bad Movies, Good Showers, and Civil Engineers. If you go to YouTube, you can watch that in its entirety. It's about a 20-minute short, and Andrea did a great job in that. And while I'm talking about the cast members, Jason W. Griffith, as I mentioned, he's in Love, Sex, Hate. He was in Bad Movies, Good Showers, and Civil Engineers. And I've had him in, gosh, quite a few films of mine. So yeah, it's been a pleasure to work with these people. And as a filmmaker, one of the things I will tell you is when you get a cast member who does a good job or a crew member who does a good job, keep using them, bring them back over and over again, because enough can't be said for those cast members who show up on time, knowing their lines, and they do their job, for those crew members who show up on time and work hard. If you get someone like that, keep employing them, keep putting them in your films. Uh, let's see. What was most challenging about filming Evil Intent? Uh, I think that probably the most challenging part was just making sure we could get everyone together at the right time, which is oftentimes one of the biggest challenges for me anyway. I tend to shoot films very simply, and I use a very, much a skeleton crew, which makes shooting easier. And there are some prices to pay for that. As you can tell in Evil Intent, there are a couple parts where the audio's not real loud, and you have to, really focus to hear what they're saying. But that is definitely a plus in making a small budget film, is keeping a small crew. And yeah, we just had, the couple camera people. Gene Yanza did a fantastic job as a director of photography. Hats off as well to Nick Falls and Tom Doyle with their camera work, John Schmidt with the sound work. And we kept it really simple to try to make sure we didn't have any major challenges. You can tell the lighting. We did not have a lighting person on set. I prefer most of the time to just use the lights we have available to us, whether they're lamps or overhead lights. I will oftentimes bring in, some higher wattage bulbs, maybe some 200-watt bulbs to screw in here and there in the various outlets. Or we'll use, the lamp shades for some direction for the light, or maybe a little fill in. But for the most part, we keep it really simple and make it as easy as possible for the shoot to move quickly, because I wrote a book, The Independent Filmmaker's Guide, Make Your Feature Film for $2,000. There's a peek at it there for you, which came out last October. So it's been out for a little while now. And one of the things I talk about is keeping things simple so you can shoot quickly and not run into a whole lot of problems. And making a film for less than $2,000, it wouldn't be fair of me to keep people on set, bringing them back week after week after week to shoot. And so, yeah, we keep things to a minimum. We shoot a lot of scenes. With Evil Intent, we shot a lot of scenes, at least 3 times. A lot of times with our comedies, the goofy ones, we might shoot a scene one time, especially like with Midget Zombie Takeover, The Worst Movie Ever, where there's supposed to be offbeat comedies. And if a scene looks good or a take looks good, hey, let's move on to the next one. With Evil Intent, we oftentimes shot, got each take, 3 or 4, maybe 5 times. Certainly not like I've talked to other independent filmmakers who will get each take 25 to 30 times. And you have to shoot for months and months when you do that. And I don't think it's fair to my cast or crew members when I'm only paying them, maybe $25, $50, $100 or so at the most, to keep asking them to come back and work hard. So, yeah, I guess the biggest obstacle was just getting everyone on set when we needed them. Let's see. That said, since you do not do editing, do you ever step in if there's a scene that you want included? Yeah, I've become more hands-on with the editing with the last, well, I can't really say that. With the last couple films we've made, I've been a little more hands-on, I guess. And with Midget Zombie Takeover, Eric Lassie was the editor of that film, and we got together quite often to go over the edit. With the worst movie ever, Alan Day Green edited that, and he did pretty much the whole thing on his own. And I would say with Brian Cabrera editing Evil Intent, uh, I just pretty much turned him loose. At one point, I emailed him a couple suggestions without having ever seen what he was doing, some of the things I had in mind, and he delivered the product to me. And I think I had to have him tweak, I don't know, a couple little things. I think they were mostly just in the credits, just making sure. I think there was a name that had a typo in it or something. It's just very minor things. Brian just did a phenomenal job with the edit. So yeah, sometimes I guess I get a little more involved. Other times, the editors will typically send me a rough edit, and I'll make some notes and email them back to them. And it very much depends, I guess, on the project. Yeah, let's see. What would you recommend an up and coming director to focus on? A high quality camera, lighting, catering for the cast and crew? Well, that is certainly important. I do always make sure there is food available, and you don't have to break the bank. I do know some filmmakers who will bring in a catering service, and if you're making a film for $2,000, you pretty much broke the bank right there. I just typically go to a dollar store and load up on a bunch of snacks, maybe stop at a grocery and get some fresh fruit as well. And but as an upcoming director, someone just getting into it, I would say the big things are the script. There's no way to make a good film without a decent script. And that doesn't mean you necessarily have to spend a year or more on a script. I've talked to plenty of people who, yeah, they spend a year, 2 years thinking that every single word in the script has to be perfect, and then they obsess over and keep changing and changing and changing things. And next thing you know, the film never gets made or it turns into a 5 year project. And but you definitely have to make sure you have a decent script. If you're making a small budget film, keep it as simple as possible. Again, limit the number of locations, limit the number of characters. Those will keep your expenses down. And the next thing I would say to focus on is casting the film. I have been fortunate to work with very talented people, and yeah, you get the right person in the right role. It's hard to go wrong. Okay, if you have a decent script and a decent cast, a lot of times I just pretty much stand back and let them go. I'll slate the scene, have at it, and every now and then maybe make a little suggestion to them, hey, let's shoot that one again and let's do this or whatever. If it's a bigger something that I want changed, I'll typically take the cast member off to the side and make the suggestion to him or her away from everyone else. And, I don't want to ever embarrass anyone. And but yeah, if you get a good script and talented cast members, I like to let them bring their own interpretations of their characters to the set. I've heard tales of the absolute extremes where Spike Lee. I've heard some actors say, yeah, he'll go a day or two at a time, barely saying anything, letting the cast members bring their own interpretation. The other extreme, Quentin Tarantino, will tell everyone exactly how they want to do. He wants every single word said, sentence said, blocking and all. And I tend to, I guess, lean more towards the Spike Lee train of thought. That I like to let people bring their own interpretations of the character to set. I figure they're all artists. And yeah, every now and then I'll get a cast member who basically, they're the kind who memorizes the line, shows up and just kind of delivers them. But I've been fortunate to work with a lot of people who they are artists and they bring their interpretations of the characters in. And I don't know, 19 times out of 20, their interpretations are fantastic. And they bring something to the character that I maybe had never thought of before. And they add more depth to the film. So that would be one of the things I would say for a burgeoning director, to have some faith in your cast members. And I try not to be, too OCD with the film, and let others have their own input. Same thing with the editing. With both, especially the comedies, The Worst Movie Ever and Midget Zombie Takeover, I was very fortunate to have talented editors, Alan Day Green and Eric Lassie, and they put in little things with the edit that weren't in the script and I had never thought of, just little tweaks and little jump cuts and things like that add to the film. So I like to make it a group effort, even though it's my name on it. I guess I like to exploit the talents of others, and that's one of the things I learned a long time ago when I first started making films. Is that if I surround myself with very talented people, it makes me look a whole lot better. So yes, as a new director or young director, certainly surround yourself with as talented people as you possibly can. It'll make you look good. Oh, and as I meant, cameras, it's always nice to have a good camera. I've been fortunate to basically have a lot of camera people who had their own camera, and they brought it in and solid, a solid camera. Sometimes we've had eh, pretty, I guess, I don't know, standard uh, cameras, but we've had some really good cameras as well. And lighting, yeah, I don't worry a whole lot about lighting. I tend to shoot a lot of scenes during the daytime, get the natural light, or like, as I mentioned earlier, just use the lights around. Especially with Evil Intent, I like the darker feel of it. I tend to like that with horror films or psychological thrillers. Next question I see here. What kind of horror genre do you prefer doing? Well, I've done mostly comedy. I've done 6 feature films, and we have a 7th one in post production. 4 of them are comedies. Well, 5 of them are comedies, I guess. With horror, Midget Zombie Takeover is a zomedy, a comedy horror film. Leans more on the comedy than the horror because we didn't have a big budget, so I couldn't put a lot of good special effects in or blood squirting everywhere, heads exploding. And but when it comes to the horror stuff, I do enjoy the psychological thrillers more. As you could see with Evil Intent, there wasn't a lot of blood, not a whole lot of gore. But hopefully titillate the viewer a little bit. So when that little bit of blood does appear, hopefully it has a nice effect. We also shot a film last year that's getting edited. Hopefully it'll be ready for next year. Called The Ghosts of Johnson Woods. And that the script started off as a dark comedy, but as I was writing it, it got darker and darker and darker. And eventually I realized, well, this isn't really a dark comedy. This is more of a psychological thriller. And it does have a little bit of gore at the end, hopefully anyway, as we get through the edit. And so, yeah, when I do want to do something in the horror genre, I prefer more the psychological thriller. And I guess if I got to the point where I had a big budget, I would love to, be able to CGI some stuff or use some good blood and all. I do have a completed script. What the heck is it called now? I wrote it a couple years ago. It's got Savage Evil. I knew it had evil in the title, Savage Evil. And that one would require a bit of a budget because we'd probably need some CGI and certainly some blood. And I would love to shoot that film at some point. It would be, more of a standard horror film and not so much a psychological thriller. Let me see. With the worst movie ever, what was the story behind the box office earnings? Yeah, the worst movie ever. We shot in 2010. We released it in 2011. And when it hit theaters in August of 2011, we got it booked into one theater in LA and for its opening weekend. I had it booked into a couple others in the coming weeks, but they asked if they could bring it in a little early. Gave me 5 days notice. They said, well, would you want to show it this coming weekend? I said, sure. I thought, heck, LA, you can't go wrong in LA. A bunch of people will probably see the title and walk right in just based on the title of it. And so I had no time to advertise. Did a little social networking. And as it turned out, our opening weekend, one person showed up. We got a Friday and Saturday night midnight screening each night. And one person showed up, bought an $11 ticket. And I didn't realize it at the time, but we had set the all-time box office record for the worst opening weekend in history. And I had promised Ray Subers at Box Office Mojo that I would get him the numbers when the film opened, and as soon as I got the numbers, and when I got the numbers on Monday morning that we had done $11 in box office, for about 30 seconds or so, I thought, I'm just going to ignore this and never let anyone know and act like the opening weekend never happened. I thought, well, I did promise Ray I'd get him the numbers, and so I emailed Ray the numbers. The big $11 opening weekend. And Ray immediately emailed me back. He said, is this a typo? And I emailed him back, said, nope, just an awful opening. And so Ray posted it on Box Office Mojo. And the next day, Tuesday, I was at school. It was the first day of the semester. I'm a college professor. And so I was talking with my classes about it. And so I had said something to them that, hey, we want to get some viewings for the trailer on YouTube. If you would go to YouTube and give it a viewing or two, see if we can get our numbers up, like 5,000 or something like that. Well, when I went to my office after my first couple classes, I had an email there from Stu Van Arsdale, and he was a film writer, and he had noticed the $11 box office number, and he realized that the previous record was $20 for the worst opening weekend ever by Zizek's Road. And he said, "Hey, do you realize you set an all-time box office record? And can we do an interview?" And he had already written an article that day, which I wasn't aware of, for Movie Line, where he was writing at the time. And he had posted a link to the trailer. And so I'd asked the students if they could watch and see if maybe we could get up to 5,000 viewings. And so I clicked on the trailer, and we were suddenly up to like 40,000 viewings in just a matter of, I don't know, 6 hours or so. And it kind of took off from there, and got a lot of interview requests, did the interview with Stu, and got interview requests from all over the world. It ended up being really good. It was completely embarrassing at first, ended up being fantastic that we set that record. And the worst movie ever, still every now and then gets a theater will contact me and say they want to bring it in for a midnight movie. We end up getting it in, I believe, 8 theaters around the country, and we've since gone over $12,000 in box office, which certainly isn't a killing, but it's a whole lot better than the $11 opening weekend. So I've been very happy with the shelf life of the worst movie ever, and thankfully too, we just picked up a new distributor for it, Continuum Motion Pictures, and Danny Torres there. And so we're excited about that. They acquired both the distribution rights for both The Worst Movie Ever and Midget Zombie Takeover. And they have the North American, the United Kingdom, and Chinese distribution rights for the films. Both of those films. So yeah, hopefully we just signed the deal with them a few weeks back, and yeah, hopefully good things will be happening with those films. Still looking to see if we can bring on another distributor to handle the rest of the foreign rights for those films. And it would be absolutely fantastic if we could pick up another distributor there. So if any of you out there are a distributor or know a distributor, feel free to get in touch with me. And yeah, you can always get in touch with me through Facebook. We have Facebook fan pages for Evil Intent. If you like the film, feel free to go there and like it. Or if you're a distributor, we have Facebook fan pages for Midget Zombie Takeover, the worst movie ever, and also our film To Die Is Hard. You probably didn't notice in the background, but anytime the characters in Evil Intent were watching TV, and you could hear the TV going, that was from To Die Is Hard, from our film To Die Is Hard, which came out, I guess, about 3 years ago now. And yeah, so that's what you're hearing in the background. Brian put in. I asked him to just put in some of the sound from To Die Is Hard. So that's a fun little touch there. Plus, then we didn't have to worry about rights, paying for any rights to use anyone else's dialogue or whatever in the background of Evil Intent. Let's see. Oh, the other thing I need to mention with Evil Intent, as well as some of our other films, To Die Is Hard, and our film's Therapist, which I mentioned briefly, that Giovanna Leah was in. And we did another film, Separate Checks, a feature film that Libby Baker, who played Kelly in Evil Intent, starred in, and along with Greg Niemer. And those four films, Separate Checks, Therapist, Evil Intent, and To Die Is Hard, they're available on Online Movies Box, onlinemoviesbox.com. It's a pretty cool website. It's only 99 cents to watch a film once. I believe you get 48 hours to watch the film as many times as you want. Or it's only like $5.99 for a 1-month subscription to watch as many films as you want, as often as you want. And Online Movies Box is pretty cool because not only do they pick up smaller independent films like the films we make, but they also have a lot of Academy Award-winning films. And more of the older ones, okay, especially if you're going back to the 40s, 50s, and 60s, but they have the rights to a lot of older Academy Award-winning films. And so yeah, that's a pretty cool website if you want to watch our films along with some Academy Award winners. Yeah, for 99 cents you can watch any individual film, or for $5.99 a month you can watch as many films as you like. And let me see here. Next question. By the way, if you want a special effects guy for your other horror movies, Dustin Mills, probably very reasonably priced and does top-notch work with practically zero budgets on his own films. Thank you. Worth the contact. Yeah, we are actually looking to possibly do a Midget Zombie Takeover 2, and we would like to, instead of having it more comedy based, have it more horror based for the second go around. And yeah, Dennis Parent on a $100 makeup budget did a great job in Midget Zombie Takeover, but he's in Michigan and we'll probably shoot the sequel in Colorado. So I don't know if we'll be able to bring Dennis out, but we would like to get a bigger budget. We're thinking about doing maybe an Indiegogo or Kickstarter deal there to try to raise some money. We'd probably like to get $50,000 or $60,000 to try to do the film right. We actually thought of a way that even though pretty much everyone gets killed off in the first one, to bring them all back in the second one, and I've thought of a way to do that. And but yeah, we would like to have more gore and blood involved. I see there, Dustin Mills, an amazing talent. Oh, that's right, an indie horror in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Yeah, so we got tie-ins. Small world here. And there are lots of interesting locations in Michigan. Yeah, I have some family that live in the Holland area. So I am familiar with Michigan, and I spent much of my life in the Midwest, mostly in Indiana, which is actually where we shot the majority of Midget Zombie Takeover. I'm now back in Denver, Colorado, where we've shot our other films. And so yeah, we've actually tracked down a deserted mountain cemetery where we were hoping to shoot the sequel. And but yeah, everything's up in the air. I've actually had contacts from Virginia wanting us to shoot the film there, so we'll see what happens. I'm seeing here, does anyone have any final questions? We're about up to the end of the web chat session. Amazing puppet work and combining that with horror. It just all kinds of goodness. Well, thank you very much. And as we're coming up on the end here, I just want to again thank Indie Horror TV for having us on a second time. And Robert Poole does a fantastic job there. Hopefully you've noticed on the website they're going to 24-hour programming here very shortly. So hopefully everyone will take advantage of that. And I appreciate everyone tuning in. Spread the word. If you like the film, let others know about it, the Facebook fan page. Let them know about the online movies box where they can see it for 99 cents. Or keep an eye out for it on Launch TV if it's in one of your towns. If you're in Miami or Lufkin, Texas, Decatur, or Florence, Alabama, or Wichita, Kansas, we're also trying to get it into Chicago. And yeah, with Indie Horror TV, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week coming up. And for those of you who are aspiring filmmakers, remember, you can pick up my book, The Independent Filmmaker's Guide, Make Your Feature Film, for $2,000. It's in bookstores, or you can go on Amazon.com, certainly order it. And yeah, hopefully you'll do that. Hopefully I'll have some good information for you. Oh, wait. Oh, not 24 hours. It's 7 days a week. My fault. Sorry about that, Robert. Here I am lying out of my face. It'll be 7 days a week. I'm sorry, not 24 hours a day. So yes, but you'll be able to watch great independent horror films every day of the week, and that is completely awesome. If anyone has any final little snippets here to throw at me, be happy to answer them. If not, thank you so much to everyone. Thank you to Robert Poole at Indie Horror. Thank you to all of you who have watched and participated in the web chat. Again, feel free to look us up on Facebook. You can either look me up or any of the films Evil Intent, To Die Is Hard, The Worst Movie Ever, or Midget Zombie Takeover. Thank you so much, and I appreciate all of you watching.